All right, we're live.
Hit it!
That's it. Mad Dog.
Booyah! In the house.
What's going on, man? Thanks for, I just got to say thank you, man. That is a great shot of Typhoon flying high, doing what Typhoon.
That was actually down in Key West. That probably was 10 years ago or so, and it was a great time down there. You got to love Key West, that water, the color of the water down there. And getting pictures of your boat flying out of the water is nothing better than that. And I figured you'd like that on your wall.
That looks like the wall.
Yeah,
that looks like the wall in Key West.
Turn one. Turn one, baby. That's
a good one, man. But what's going on, Mad Dog?
Well, you know, it's the start of a new season. We're getting ready to kick off, and it's going to be a little longer than usual. You know, got the COVID thing going on, and it's kind of messed it up for everybody, scheduling and whatnot. But we'll take the punches, and we'll figure it out. We'll get through it.
Yeah.
And, you know, get the boat ready. It just gives us a little more time. Unfortunately for us, when you have more time, that means you just don't do anything.
Yeah, everybody's a bit of a procrastinator.
You sit there and you wait a little bit longer. Now you know you got another month.
The offshore mantra.
Yeah. You know, when you tell me you got 3 days left, you get it all done. But you know, when you tell me you got a month,
it's always Friday night.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always
especially
Friday
in my
night.
life.
But I just want to say thank you guys for coming in, man. Cheers.
Absolutely.
It's episode 1 for Offshore Live. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We hope this works out for you. And you got a great venue. You got a nice shop here.
It can only get better. So we'll work on it. But we'll jump on to the first topic here. You been playing hockey or?
Well, what? Things get rough sometimes, you know. It all really starts, it really starts a long time ago with Mad Dog here when we were little, when he bit my finger off. So we do a lot of fighting and stuff, but I was like...
Got to straighten the kid out once in a while.
Yeah, but when I got out of the hospital, I jammed a knife in his stomach. I can show you the scar of that if you want to get into it. But the tooth actually was from skiing when I was like 7 years old, and hit the ice, and it was dead. And what happened was I had it all capped, and everything looked beautiful. And 2 days before this virus started, I went to the dentist because it fell out. And all of a sudden, he made a crown for me. It was like 2 months ago. Now all of a sudden, it closed. Ugh. I'm a salesman. I got to go around talking to people with no tooth.
That's the worst.
Skippy.
Everybody's going to make fun of me, and I'm used to it now. It's not a problem. I'm thinking about leaving it out. I get more attention.
There you go. You said you're in sales?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone says, well, how do you talk to people? I said, I got a mask on. So it works perfect.
Perfect.
It'll all be taken care of.
Chicks dig it.
For everybody that doesn't know, he's missing a tooth. We had to touch on it.
I appreciate you making it the first topic.
Yeah, we had to. We got to get it out of the way.
Oh, by the way, this is my younger brother, Scott.
That's right.
So,
that's right. For those of you that don't know.
Yeah, you don't know, Scott's raced with us a couple times, and in my kryptonite boat. And kind of glad to have him along with me, and you know, it's good to race with family.
Well, and that's there's a bit of history in the room right now. I started racing Class 5 a couple years ago with you, and I believe it was Scott's first race, right, in Point Pleasant?
Absolutely.
And I was coming up the front stretch and said, wow, Randy missed a buoy. And when I got there, he came back and got it.
And I got a boat full of your boat.
That's right.
I was telling Scott about this on the way there. Are we going to bring that up when he hit us in turn 1?
Well, I figured we'd finally put it to bed on who hit who.
You're not going to go there, are you? We got hit in the back.
I'd like to notice you were coming from behind us.
One little S turn. That's all there was. One little S turn.
And that was our first lap.
Yeah.
Might have been the second lap, actually. Yeah, well, I think it was the second lap.
I think it was the second lap, and they had a good run on us. We kind of went to the wrong pin, bounced back out, got lined up, and then we cut the pin a little bit sharp. So, hey, you know what? Like anything else, no harm, no foul, nobody got hurt.
It's boat racing, man.
It's all good.
Racing in big water.
I'll send you the bill next time.
Attaboy. Well, and that's the other beautiful thing. There will probably be a next time. I'll in Cocoa Beach. I'll be ready with my Super V Light, and we'll be doing it again. We're Stock V now, right? Stock V.
Pro Stock V.
Yeah.
I get confused all the time too. We changed the name to
Too many.
Super V Light for the longest time. Now it's Pro Stock V. So I get tongue tied every so often. So when they say what class are you in, I'm trying to get those letters back in. What it actually is.
It's the acronym that kills me. The SVL. Yeah. SVL is stuck in my head forever.
That's part of it. So how is your boat coming along?
It's good, man. It's good. We're down to exhaust. And thank God, like you said, we're all a bunch of procrastinators because Cocoa Beach would have been last weekend.
Well, when did you guys start? 2 years ago with it?
About like a year and 11 months and 29 days.
And you call it procrastinating?
I wouldn't call it 2 years.
Sloth. Sloth speed.
Hey man, we got stuff going on. We got big stuff going on over here. We got a lot of bottom paint jobs. But I'll be there. I'll be first race of the year. Currently slated for Point Pleasant is August 14th, and we're hoping. We got to get this governor to relax, and hopefully we open up the beaches and we can have a good boat race back in Point Pleasant.
Well, we've had good governors, mayors, in the town before. Was it Stevens last year?
He just ended last year.
Yeah, Mayor Reed.
Mayor Reed. Stephen Reed. Yeah.
He was great.
Yeah,
he was fantastic, and
he was so into it. It was so refreshing having somebody as into it as he was.
He was a fan.
He was genuinely excited.
He was a fan. It was fantastic having him. And from what I understand, the new gentleman, I don't know his name, is pretty amazing to work with as well.
Super.
So hopefully we got at least a couple more years of good boat racing at the Jersey Shore.
Well, I know that all Jenkinsons, all those other people that support us up there, they got to be chomping at the bit to get some people in their restaurants and their bars and everything else. So
yeah, it's got to be hard. I mean, we as a marina here, we were lucky enough to stay open and stay working, and I can only imagine what those guys are going through with the bills those guys got. It's insane.
Well, if you figure your business is open 12 months a year, that you got bills that you got to pay on, you have a shore business that's not only 3 months that you're going to make money on. Right. And you don't make money, any one of those 3 months, how do you stay afloat the rest of the year? It's got to be incredible.
I don't know.
Incredible challenge.
I'm sure they got a good amount of capital. Those guys been doing well for a lot of years, but
they're suffering well.
But there's a lot of people. I mean, I think about Inglewood a lot, and they go through the red tide, and they go through a lot of natural things, and this virus isn't helping anybody.
No.
So.
It's amazing. It never seems easy for any of these towns that we go to. Between getting sponsorship money, they do all these places do a great job of getting volunteers to help or whatever. Unfortunately, it would be so much better if they had more sponsorship money that came in to help to make it even bigger. And it's the same thing every year. And can they afford to do it the following year? Can they, so when you see race sites that have a 20-year history, you got some good people running those shows.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people don't understand what goes into the race site. It's everybody says that, and I think everybody says, oh yeah, I know it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of money. And I know Inglewood down there pulls in about $500,000, and not much of it lands in the till. It's a crazy deal, and the city services alone in some of these places are incredible, and they're not cutting you a break.
No.
So it's tough on the promoters. I give them a lot of props for what they do.
And I got to believe, I've been to Inglewood since it started, where they have the absolute best volunteers.
Oh, they're amazing.
Those people, they're there first thing in the morning. They're helping you. You need anything.
And they're hilarious.
Oh, they're just such good, fun people. And they dying to have you come down to that race. I think they wait all year for that. And this is kind of like their best weekend of the year.
Yeah.
Even though their volunteers are sitting out in the sun, they help everybody, the handicapped people. They got bus rides coming in. We got those 3 bars right across the street. I mean, incredible sight.
That's the only race site I don't mind waiting in line for the crane.
Correct.
They crack me up, man. It's a great time down there. Ray LeBady and his crew do a beautiful job. Just outstanding. Think about the space that we're allotted in Inglewood. That tiny little parking lot. Last year we had 74 boats or something. It was somewhere in that ballpark. It was over 70 boats. Yeah. In that tiny little parking lot. Anywhere else we go, the line for the crane would have been 5 hours long. They move that along like it's no big deal. They do a wonderful job. It's better and
better every year. Yeah. I mean, it's where you get concerned is on Saturday testing. You could be waiting 2 hours to get in the water, and you say, "Oh, we're screwed tomorrow. There's no way we're going to get these boats in on time."
Right.
And somehow or another,
they pull it off.
Everyone gets up in the morning. Racers are ready. Drivers are ready. Your crew knows that there is no time to dilly-dagging around here. I mean, you got to do this right. And quite honestly, when somebody's screaming at you, "Come on, get your damn truck out of here. Your trailer belongs over there. Move it." I kind of appreciate it that they have the the willingness to actually yell at people that are there, and some people
Yeah.
get upset with them. But that's what it takes. You know, you got to keep that show going.
There's no room for the emotions.
No, there's no
race morning. You just got to get your shit done and get out of the way. It's, you know.
Well, on my team, I mean, what we do is we're at that driver's meeting. Your father calls off the laps, how many miles we're going to do. Then I know exactly how much gas we're going to need. I call directly into the guys during the meeting or whatever. They're on their way to the station to get the exact amount of gas. Most of the time, we don't sit around and wait to an hour before the race. I want to be the first one in the water.
Yeah.
I've been caught at the other end too many times just saying, oh, well, we got another half hour. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Not worth it.
I mean, it's peace of mind.
Yeah.
When it's in, it's tied up, it's ready to go, it's peace of mind. But I get it. I mean, I get waiting until the last minute to pick the prop.
You can always change it in the water.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear that. But I wanted to ask you. We were at the Winter Awards in February that we do at Martell's,
Yep.
and we give away an annual award, as you both know. But for those of you who don't know, it's the Jimmy Welsh Trophy, and it's primarily for sportsmanship and just an all around good guy award. And if you knew Jimmy, we called him Trophy Bitch. If you knew Jimmy, you'd understand why we made this award and how important it is to us, to those who receive it. And I just wanted to give you a minute here to maybe educate some of the newer people around the sport on Jimmy and how you recruited him, or maybe he recruited you.
So Jimmy Welsh was one of those guys that is just so likable. He looks like a leprechaun. He's probably, was 5'1", 5'2". He had a personality like he was 7 foot tall and a giant. And he's just infectious to be around. And I met the guy down at our boat club, and when I told him I was going to go racing, he was like, you got to be kidding me. I've always wanted to do this. I've been to every Point Pleasant race since, I was a kid or whatever. I will do whatever it takes. Now, you hear that kind of stuff from a lot of people, but they don't follow through. Well, I got a race boat, and that year, Jimmy said, I will take that boat. I will go with you to every single race. You don't have to pay me. You don't have to do anything. He had just, he was almost retired at the time, and he just volunteered to do it. 18 years later, this guy is still going to every single race. I was able to fly into a lot of them because I had a business to run. He would jump in the motorhome or the truck, whatever we had available for him, and he would just go do this stuff for free, for the love of it. And the reason he gets a trophy every year isn't because he did that every year for me. It's because when he got to the race site, I was no more important than any other team. If somebody else said, Jimmy, give me a hand with a rope over here. Jimmy, can you help me with this? Jimmy, you got a wrench. Jimmy, you got this? Jimmy, go over there and help you. So it's that camaraderie with everybody else that really made him such a special person. He got his nickname, the Bitch, which I love it.
And so did he, by the way.
Yeah. His shirt said Trophy Bitch on it. And everywhere he went, because year after year we go to the same place, and all the volunteers are like, oh, here comes the bitch, here comes the bitch. And he got so much attention from that. And the reason he got that name is because every time we went to a race site, if we would get a podium finish, Jimmy happened to always come up, and they'd give the trophy to Jimmy. And after a while, they stopped giving it to me or whoever else was driving to the boat, and he was the official Trophy Bitch. And
that actually evolved. I mean, nobody really realizes that we don't have money for trophy girls and all this fun stuff.
And we got a bitch.
It got to the point where Jimmy was wearing bikinis and handing trophies out for us. So
yeah,
and to know Jimmy was to love Jimmy. I mean, honest. I mean, and the guy,
great to everyone.
He is the definition of the shirt off his back.
Absolutely.
And I miss him dearly. Yeah. I know you do too. Yeah. And it's a phenomenal thing that every year we're reminded in one way or another, just how golden he was.
I take him with me to every race. I got a little vial of his ashes in the motorhome, and he goes to every race with me. I got a vial of ashes in the race boat.
I wonder, did you get nightmares the year you traded in the old one for the new one?
I was praying to God that we didn't forget and send off the ashes to somebody else. Not that he would have cared.
Actually, Muller's kids on that one.
Yeah, he would just say, I hope they pay better. Great guy. This sport is full of characters, fun people, just people you love hanging out with. Just another cliche word is like, we're all family. It's not just a saying.
No.
We truly care about each other so much more than probably most sports.
No doubt.
Our competitors are our friends. I mean, there isn't a person that I don't like.
Right.
All right, one person. He's sitting across from me. He's going to be racing against me next year, Scott. I got to stop liking this kid.
Truthfully, it is, and that's the oddest thing for me during the virus is that without racing, which is odd. I mean, I'm 25 years old, and I think I've been to a boat race every summer since I was 6 months old. So this is so weird for me to be coming up on Memorial Day, and there's no boat racing.
Yeah.
And it's killing me. And like you said, it being a family, I miss the guys. I miss you guys. I miss pulling into the pits and going, they're here. I mean, we all do the same thing,
Well, you're 25 years old. This is my 22nd year of racing.
Right.
So you were at every race that I was at
Pretty
since you were
much.
2 years old. I mean,
Yeah.
you were just out of diapers.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you're out of them yet, but
No, not yet.
but you were just that little kid running around all the time. Your brother was growing up, your dad was there racing, and just Augie Pence and everybody else that started this thing off so many years ago, and just how it's evolved, and how all these other family members, they show up now, and that's the other thing that's in the last couple of years that I really enjoy about the racing is the amount of teams that have actually gone out and bought motorhomes and bus movers or whatever. And before it was, on the smaller teams, it seems like everyone would show up with a pickup truck, the boat behind it or whatever, get a hotel room. Well, you go in the parking lot these days and there's a whole bunch of these motorhomes. We all sleep in them. Our kids and family come so much more than they used to. And now our kids are all playing together. Everyone's joshing everybody and just having a good old time. And I think that's another quality to the sport that is evolving that just makes it so much more desirable for other people to come in.
There's no other sport that you can just walk into and feel right at home.
Correct.
The way it is in offshore. I mean, not that I've come across. And it is true. I mean, like you walk around the pits, it doesn't matter if there's 300,000 people coming to see the boats or 10 people walking around the pits. We're all just having a great time. It is, if you get into the sport, if you buy a boat and you show up in Point Pleasant August 14th, you'll feel exactly what we're describing to you right now. There's no better bunch of guys anywhere in the world. I've had competitors loan me their spare parts the day before a race when they would need it, and get me out there because I was further ahead in points and it didn't matter for them, or these guys will do anything. And the amazing thing too that I'm seeing with the young generation, which not that I'm not in that generation, but like I raced in Lake Apacon last year against Muller's two sons, who, by the way, kicked my ass, and it's great to see the dedication in the young kids.
Yeah.
See, when I first started, it was Johnny Saris and I were the young kids.
Yeah, you guys were the young guns coming up.
And it was almost like walking through it blindfolded. You didn't know what to expect. You didn't know. We were very timid and weird, and it took a while to really get a footing and understand what we were doing and what we were here for. And these young kids, I mean, I raced that Class 7 last year, and I can't give them guys enough praise. Like the Shadow Pirate team with Joe Riley and his father and Prescia and Donnelly, and I mean the list is literally endless, and they're all dead serious. None of them are there to play. And
That's the other cool thing about. All right, here's the next biggest fallacy: is that if you're racing offshore, you're rich. Everybody seems to say, "What do you do? How much money do you make?"
I spend every dollar on my race boat.
My boat is worth way more than my car. I rent my house.
I could buy 10 of my pickup trucks for what I got in that race boat out there.
It's the dedication, and that's why I love like the Class 7 guys. You know what? You can go anywhere from $10,000 in Class 7 to get started. So you got two people, whack that up with two guys who really want to do it, $5,000 a piece. You may not have the best boat or the prettiest boat or whatever, but you can get out there on the race course. So for those guys that are getting out there and doing it, you don't have, it's not about the money to be in the sport. Now, granted, Geico boats, class 1 boats, these big boys, yeah, they're $1 million rigs. Doesn't mean you have to have that kind of money. Just have the will and the be in the sport and want to do it, and you can find a way to do it. Another great thing about sport is if you really want to get involved, hook yourself up with a team.
Yeah.
Show up and start asking, say, listen, I'm here at this race every single year. I will wash your boat. I will clean your tools. I will do whatever you want. I will grab the ropes.
And the guys would be happy to have you.
Everybody that I know of that has a boat dreams of not sponsoring, but helping tutelage some younger person, because it gives you something in your heart like, oh my God, this is a great feeling that somebody wants to do this and I can actually help them.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of that comes from, and not that this is the same in everybody, but a lot of that comes from, in us at least, is the beginning. You started racing Factory 1, I believe, correct?
Yep.
And so you kind of walked into the upswing, into the downswing, And,
I rode the roller coaster.
And I can remember being a kid, and I can remember being in Point Pleasant, where there was 11 of us.
Yeah.
And it was like, sure, you can have that parking lot over there. There wasn't many of us. It wasn't much to organize. It was so in today's day and age, when you have somebody that is legitimately interested in the sport, it is important to us to sit down and have that conversation with you and help you get involved, because we need that. We need that in a big way. The new blood in the sport has been fantastic, and you can speak to that with your driver Tom.
Yeah.
I got a great story with Tom. One of Randy's first races was Tom Crowley Sr. was driving his boat. We have pictures of Tommy the Gun at about 4 years old picking his nose.
Watching he and his father race.
That's a great story with the picture and everything now that he's so involved. And another thing would be like Ryan Donnelly.
Right.
That races, he's been around for years, washing Randy's boat, doing anything and everything.
Yeah, Ryan and Johnny.
Part of the team. Now Ryan and Johnny are racing.
Right. It's fantastic.
They went out and bought a boat, and it does get addictive, and to see these younger people do it, like you said, it's fantastic, and I think that's the future of the sport. You got to get people, a little juiced up when they're young, and before you know it, they go up a level. The only thing I would ever caution anybody is don't move up too fast.
Yeah.
It's a budget type thing that if you want to stay around, you got to stay somewhat within the budget. If you blow it and go up to a class that you shouldn't be in, you're one motor away from never racing again.
Yeah, you got to stay in your lane. And as far as getting people started, I have a great story about that. I raced for 2 years in a Class 5 boat, a Warlock with Mike Wright, who now throttles, I believe it's LPC now, the WIA boat that flipped over backwards in Key West.
Yeah.
And I started with him in his Warlock. And the first year I met Mike was in Lake of the Ozarks in his hometown. And we did that great thing there where there was like a try it out entry fee. And we knew what that was about. You do it once, you're going to do it forever.
Yeah,
there's no
hook, line, and sinker.
Yep, that's it, man. So we knew what we were doing. So I pitted next to him, and so I walked over to introduce myself, and I said hi, and Mike said hi, and he said, "Yeah, I'm just gonna do this one, and
one time."
I said, you seem like a good guy. I said, let me just explain something to you. There is no just doing one.
No.
And he's, it's my pleasure boat, and it's my, okay. So we went out and we raced and we came in and we're at the Beavers on the Dam there coming up the dock, and there's Mikey, smiling from ear to ear, jumping up and down about third place, and that's it. And he's in. There's no getting out. There's no getting out. It's the greatest thing you can do with your pants on.
That's what they
without
say.
a doubt. And
You've never seen Scott in action then.
But it's a phenomenal sport. I've been involved in a lot of racing, different types of racing and cool stuff, but nothing is the white knuckle hour-long slugfest that is offshore. There's just nothing quite like it, And you're actually sitting next to one of the craziest throttlemen of all time.
I have total trust when I'm in the boat with him for the first couple times. I can't imagine hopping into another boat without him throttling.
Yeah.
But I would.
What, jumping in another boat?
Use for hire.
Scooters for hire. Well, that's the thing about sport too. I mean, there's two people in the boat, and you got to trust the person you're with. You got to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And that doesn't just happen overnight. And that's why a new team just getting together, you're going to make a ton of mistakes. Get used to it. Don't go out there and think you're going to win the first race. Go out there and have some fun.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning of it.
And that's true, and it's so true. You got to sink your teeth in. You got to get involved, see what it's about, and learn. Don't be afraid to learn. There's so many guys that are so unwilling to listen.
Correct.
And that's one of the beautiful things about my entrance to the sport was I had a lot of people to listen to. I grew up around you and Augie and Bob Oliver. I mean, it's endless, and I saw it all. Johnny Stanch. I mean, I glued myself to Johnny Stanch for 15 years, and
The smartest person in the room is the one who asks the most questions.
that's it, and I didn't have to because boat racers are so happy to tell you
they'll
all
tell
about
you.
it. So it's that's really what got me so hooked. I mean, as a kid, was not just watching my father and my brother do it, was how cool everybody was, and there really was a cool factor. I can remember the Copeland parties in Key West. And, there was such a cool. I mean, Dave Branch. I don't even have to elaborate.
The love muscle.
I mean, I don't. The
love muscle.
As a kid, I mean, talk about starstruck. Like I met Jason Priestley once, and it was like, who's this guy? It was like I was hanging out with Branch. But offshore's a unique thing, and it is so cool. And the funniest thing, and I actually was in Seattle for the meeting in, I believe it was January, and I got to talk with Steve Curtis for a while. And I got to...
Hey, mate.
And I just... I know everybody knows the legends of Steve Curtis and the publicized version of it. But when you really sit with Steve and listen to him talk about the beginning, he was one of us. Not that he's not now. But he was one of us.
Absolutely.
He was sleeping in his pickup truck and, making it work and, and
working long hours, making things happen.
And that is so cool. That is so cool that 90% of us came into the sport the same way, I believe you started in a checkmate?
Yep. It was a 25 convincer. It was my family boat. I went to a race. I actually went to Ocean City to watch a boat race. And I told my friends that were down there, I said, I gotta do this. This looks like so much fun. Went back, tore the seats out of it, tore the hatch off of it, took all the pleasure stuff, seats out of it. Didn't even tell my wife. She came back. Where's the boat? Well, honey, we're going racing. Well, what about me?
You're coming too.
You're the new mechanic, honey.
You see that yellow wire on the starter?
Yeah, it's having a little overtime.
It's incredible. It's incredible. I just recently sold my first race boat.
That's right. That's right.
And that's
a good boat.
That was a tough one.
Absolutely.
Letting go of that race boat was like giving away your puppy.
Yeah.
I would watched it leave. And,
well, do you know how many wins you had on that boat?
No.
But there was a lot.
Anybody who answers that question is lying. If you kept track, you're lying.
Was that boat always a three-seater?
Yeah, well, not originally. Originally, it was a pleasure boat, and Cue Ball was his name. Had bought it and started racing it, and he ran it for a little while as a pleasure boat, and then sold it to Chris Carbone, which turned it into Papa Duke's, and Carbone converted it to what you see today. I ran it as is when I got it from Carbone for 10 years, and never really even an issue. I mean, never a loose bulkhead, that boat. That was
solid.
Just for those of you that don't know, that was a 24 Carrera, 1979, and I put that boat through absolute hell, and 3 people did before me. And we just sold it to Jeff down in, I believe he's in South Carolina or North Carolina. And he's in the process of putting it back together with Tim Vandenberg, who ran Liquid Addiction last year in a 24 Carrera.
Yep.
And they're doing a beautiful job putting her back together. I mean, she's got some battle wounds, some Typhoon paint still on the port side.
A little of my paint we want back.
And but yeah, it's crazy. I mean, everybody has the same story.
Rule number 2. Don't take a recreational boat and turn it into a race boat.
No,
because you won't have the same results.
No,
I mean, if you want to go racing, you either buy a boat that's already been built to go race, Otherwise, you will blow the bottom, side, seats, and everything else out of that boat.
And there's plenty of them around. There's plenty of
Tons of
them around. I mean, there's
Great prices, tons of them around, good projects.
the years of them scare people away. You know, you see that 70s, 80s, 90s, and they think they're old pieces of shit. But truthfully, they're probably built better than what you buy today. And that's something that I've always believed in as well. The older boats with, you know, the conventional bottom, the conventional straight V.
Straight V, no, yeah.
For bracket class racing is really the only option. I mean, the step bottom boats, there have been a few that performed well in bracket class racing, but really for what you need a decent cubic inch motor. I mean, you need some torque and a straight bottom boat, man, and you're in the game. Yeah.
Why don't you explain to your viewers here a little bit about bracket racing?
Yeah,
I think that would probably be interesting, you know, just because this is why you can buy a 25-year-old boat and still go race and win.
Yeah, and it's a concept that I can't believe hasn't like caught fire. Is what bracket class racing is you stop at a speed, and so for instance in Class 6 you stop at 70 miles an hour, and we have a very limited and skeleton set of rules. It's minimum and maximum length. So in Class 6, the maximum length would be 26 foot, and it has to be more than 22 foot. You stop at 70 miles an hour, and there's no engine restrictions. There's no occupants, no occupant rules, no naturally aspirated, none of that garbage.
I
Just
think you have to have 2 racers.
well, yeah, you have to have 2 people in the boat, but no, you know, experience requirement or anything like that. We have ways of working the rookies in, and it's just a fantastic way to race. Him and I raced a number of times in a. What was your kryptonite? Was in the 2000s?
Yep, it was 2000. Because it was a newer boat, so my boat had a 525, so it's roughly 550 horsepower in it.
Right.
You could have 800 horsepower in your boat.
Which I did.
Yeah, and at the same time,
Yeah.
we couldn't break out past the 70 miles an hour.
Right.
So,
You know, so you and I could run your
Yep.
your kryptonite, step bottom kryptonite with the 525 against my Carrera with 1,000 horsepower, and we were dead even. In fact, you beat me a couple times. You know, and people
Every
don't-
time.
Not every time. Not every time. But that's the beautiful part of bracket class racing is if you looked at those 2 boats, you would never in a million years think that they were in the same class.
Correct.
And they're dead nuts even.
Yep.
And that's the beautiful thing. I mean, if you're at home thinking about boat racing, do it.
yeah.
It's
Start
worth
off in a bracket class like that. The other nice thing is because you have the extra horsepower and everything else, your boat is typically can do in 5-10 miles an hour faster than what you're going to even race at.
and oftentimes more than that.
Yeah, and so what that does is it creates a much safer environment for the people in the boat. You don't have to trim it up as high, making it crazier. You know, you
Right.
can pretty much keep the nose down, drag a little tab,
Well,
and punch through the waves.
And you've been around long enough to have seen the prop calc come and go.
Yeah.
Which, thank God. The way we used to monitor the bracket class boats, where we used to do what was a prop calc ratio, so we could do math and tell you what the top speed of your boat was.
Potential. Yeah.
Potentially. And then the way, if you got protested, the way we would check is one of our inspectors would get in your boat and hold it wide open and see if it went faster than your speed, which in most cases you can make one break out. I mean, it was a horrible way of doing things, but we didn't have anything better. Now we have telemetry systems in the boat that are tracking your speed at all times. And it's a much cleaner setup, a better way to do things. And thank God, you know, that,
It just makes it so much more competitive.
and easier on your equipment.
Yeah.
You know, like you said earlier, you can take a 90 mile an hour boat and run it in an 85 mile an hour class or a 75 mile an hour class. And whereas you would have been turning 7,000, 7,500 RPM, you're turning 5,500, 5,600 RPM.
Saving it.
And oftentimes, I mean, these guys are going to races like Lake St. Clair, and you're doing less damage in a boat race than you would have been if you were home drinking.
Absolutely. Oh, without a doubt. So what really happens is, because it's all on telemetry and GPS, when we're done with the race, all of us, we go back, we take out our card. We got a little SIM card in our boats. We turn them into Frank, the Nazi over in the trailer, and he downloads all the information on it. And if you're in a 70 mile an hour class, it's going to show up that you went over 70 miles an hour. You allowed, I think, 3 spikes of less than 3 seconds. I don't know the exact rules.
Now it's a total of 3 seconds. So
Okay.
it's actually gotten very interesting. And you could call it stretching the rules, but it's actually, to me, it's just an amazing game that they play now.
It's a game of chess.
Whereas before, you couldn't bounce over more than 3 times. Now, you can't bounce over for more than 3 seconds. So what guys are having to do now are break out and pull back and break out and pull back, just cutting it under that 3-second mark. And you got to see how scientific some of these guys are getting. I mean, 2.7s, 2.8s. I mean, close.
Yeah,
you know?
that's gotten it close.
But you're pushing. You're pushing. Everybody's pushing, man. It's
Yeah, but if you do break out, not a lot of fun because you just came in, you thought you won, and your friends and your family are like, yeah. Sorry.
They restarted at 30 minutes, and now they're restarting. I don't know if that film is kept in the camera.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
But they're still rolling?
They're still rolling.
Okay,
They
no
just
problem.
started a new-
Doesn't override it.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple technical difficulties, no big deal.
Maybe I should zip her up. That was a good intermission.
Well, I think the best part about all the classes is that class 7 must be about 15 boats involved now.
Yeah.
In that class, and I heard that last year, I don't know what's going on this year, there was no registration fee.
No.
So I mean, that's a perfect way to get started in boating is the class 7, which is, a maximum of 21 feet. It has to be an outboard motor, and I believe it's 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's 60 miles an hour and 22 feet.
Up to 22.
22 feet, yeah. And a maximum of 300 horse. So, and
That whole class was the brainchild of Mark Henderson.
yeah, kudos to Mark.
Yeah, Mark had been pushing for an entry-level class, because once you go, class 7, like I said, you can get into a boat for roughly $10,000 up to $50,000, excuse me. You go up just one class from that up to class 6, you're probably starting at a $50,000 boat.
Easily.
Yeah, and you probably got a $30,000 motor in the thing, and it just got so expensive. Mark Henderson said, we've got to have a better class. There's a whole bunch of these smaller boats that are out there. I used to run them. Let's get them all back. And great job, Mark.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. That was,
We'll plug it in.
and the beautiful thing about Class 7 is what's came from it. I mean, if you think about our class alone in Super V Light or Pro Stock V, you have Kyle and Jay with Whoa Mama, where they started in a class. Well, not Jay, but Kyle started in a Class 7 boat. You have Steve Papp, who started in a Class 7 boat, and I believe there's one more.
I think Chris Uzi.
Uzi,
Yeah,
yeah, maybe
Class 7 or
Uzi,
6.
where he started in 6. He bought the Dave Rab's old boat, and
That's
but-
just the progression of people moving up because they get into it, and you know what, hey, listen, I like this.
yeah, and that's it too. I mean, it's very easy when you get into the sport to figure out if you're gonna stay in the sport or not. I mean, it's you know right away, and if you want to go faster. That's just the nature of the beast. If you asked any one of us if we don't want to go faster, we'll all tell you how it is. But
So, Boomer, why don't you tell us one of your greatest memories? Let me interview you.
memories
Where I was.
of actually racing.
Yeah, racing.
Actually racing. It's an easy one, to be honest. My very first year racing was 2009, and we had set the boat up. And by the way, I was 15 years old, and the boat was set up for Class 5, and our first boat race was slated to be Ocean City, Maryland. We went testing on Saturday, and it was every bit of 4s, 5s out there, and quickly realized this wasn't a Class 5 boat. So we dropped it down to Class 6. Thankfully, the Smith Brothers Cotton Trailers team got the guys together in Class 6 and welcomed me into the class, even though I was running a much bigger motor than everybody else was, and they let me in. And that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because I couldn't have gotten hooked up with a better pair of guys. I chased Rich and Pete for every bit of the 2009 season. If I got ahead of them, it wasn't long. They get back ahead of me, and it taught me everything. And my best memory was that year in Point Pleasant. We were running second for 8 of 9 laps, and I hadn't won a race yet. I mean, not a real one. I won because people broke down or something like that, And I hadn't won and didn't understand what that was like, and kind of had that defeated feeling of I'm never going to beat these Smith brother guys,
They're good. Solid.
And we're coming down the front stretch, and my brother was coaching me, and he kept making me go wide, go wide, go wide, go wide. So we're coming into the last turn, or actually the first turn of the last lap, which, if you know, in Point Pleasant is like our version of the wall, you know. And we make that left, and he's screaming at me, stay wide, and sure as shit, Smith Brothers thought I was going to go in, and we went out, and we both hit the same roller, and it was big. I mean, it was that typical
Fly off of those
that
Point Pleasant.
we were wearing jackets, so you know it was late and it was big, and you know, and we were shit. Well, they bailed. They pulled to make the turn, and so when you bail, you send her straight to the moon, you know. And we passed them. I was looking down at their bow eye. That's how high we were in that green boat. And I was 15, 16 years old, 16 at that point. And
Mama.
that was the first race. That's it, man. That eerie silence of the motor, you know, Anthony, the throttleman chops back and you're flying through the air and
Sorry.
that's it. You know, you're thinking, man, this is going to hurt, you know. Yeah, that's it. And we came down a couple boat lengths ahead of them, and it was a drag race to the end. I think we beat them by about 10 feet, you know. And we got done with the race and rolled over by Jenkinson's there in front of the beach, and we did our first victory donut. The old green boat, the Carrera, would turn on the rub rail, and we got her up. We got her up sliding on the rub rail and started blowing donuts in front of Jenkinson's, and that was my first, in my opinion, that was my first real victory, and to do it at home, which you know is so hard to do. I don't know why that is, but you can't win in your hometown. It is so hard.
Expectations.
Maybe you know, it's contagious, rubs off on the boat, but you're nervous. You know, you want to win, and I pulled it off there. We pulled it off there, and
Sounds like a great win.
I'll never forget that one, man. That was. And Rich and Pete, I can't say enough about those guys.
That's another team I could talk for hours about.
They are the epitome of excellence. I mean,
Two brothers, they're there to race, they're not there to party.
no,
Just solid people.
that was me. No worries.
Don't you know the rules?
That's $100 fine, right? Well, none of us got collared shirts on either.
If anybody deserves sponsors and whatnot, those two brothers, I mean, they write the press releases, they say everything right, they've got beautiful families, their parents come to the races, you know, they bring their motor home there, and they've probably been at it for 18 years or so, I would guess. I'm not sure.
If not more. Well, they raced in Factory One.
Yeah, that's right.
They raced Factory One. They were
probably 20 plus years in like me.
yeah, and between the two of them, there's a wealth of time.
Oh my God, yeah. Those for whatever reason they never break out. So here's the other thing about breaking out in speed. So some teams, somebody passes you and you get sucked into trying to catch them. These guys, they're not taking the bait. And so somebody may already say, hey, listen, I'm a 70-mile-an-hour bracket, and I know I've already broken out for more than my 3 seconds, so I'm going to be a hero. I want to show off, and I'm going to move up to the front, and I'm going to make it look like I'm a hero. Smith Brothers aren't buying it.
Nope.
They're just, no, don't drag me along, and they just play so smart. And that's titles, national titles. They have as many as anybody else that I know. It's because they play it smart. They go to the races. They know the point system. They understand how to do it. They get it done.
Yeah, they're one of the few people that I know of, or few teams that I know of that are in the Hall of Champions more than once. And they're the biggest lesson that I took away from racing against them those years were to run your own race. You know, don't get so caught up in what everybody else is doing. Run your race. You know, and I learned that the hard way because, I'd be worried about blocking them and there they go around me or something, but I learned a lot of valuable lessons from them, and you're 100% correct. If there's sponsors out there looking to get in and looking to get their feet wet, they're the guys. I mean, they are the guys. I've never seen them without their team shirts on. I've never seen them even when they're upset, they're polite.
Correct.
You'd think they're from Canada.
Well, they literally, I've never seen them not congratulate somebody who just beat them or cut them off or done whatever. They come over, this great race, whatever, put that smile on, even mentally there's no way you can be happy about it, but they just have their shit together.
Yeah.
And it's hard not to give him a bear hug.
Well, and the natural skill in that boat as well. I mean, when I first started racing against them, I had a pretty stout motor thanks to a guy named Bobby Costa, and who sent me a real badass piece of machinery. I mean, it was an old Class 1 motor from back in the day. It was making almost 1,000 horsepower. And one day we're at the boat ramp, and I fired my boat up, and theirs back and theirs down the ramp, and they fired theirs up, and I thought it was like a fishing boat behind me or something. I looked over, they were running a bone stock 496 out of a Sea Ray.
Remember it well.
Bone stock. And I'm thinking to myself, they're kicking my ass. There's nothing I can do about it. You know?
How is this possible?
But there is some serious skill in that boat, and it goes to show the level of competition that we have in the sport today. Guys like that, you would think were the front runner of that class, and the truth of the matter is there is no front runner of that class. It's
anyone's race.
It's anyone's race.
Yeah.
And that's true. I mean, a lot of people say that, but that's really the case. I mean, Class 6 is up in the air. There's a lot of really great race teams. There's the Deception boat, and Liquid Addiction ran strong last year. I mean, I hate naming names because you always feel like you leave people out, but that whole
I'm used to it. It's Randy.
that whole entire class, man, is just they're killers. They're killers, man. They're just, all of them can wheel. I mean, it's insane. I ran with Mike Pocino and You Gun Learn, who's another, barnstormer in that class. And he just recently bought a Super V Light. He bought the Punisher boat from Charlie.
You bet.
And I can't wait. I can't wait to get back to war with you guys. But in his Class 6
Who's your
boat.
prediction this year in our class?
Oof, man. It depends on who shows up.
Yeah.
We'll see who shows up, who's had a tough situation.
Well, LSP's had a good run for several years, so they've always put up some good numbers. They've kind of been the team to beat, in my opinion. Steve Paps he's got engineering mad skills, and he's going to town of refining his boat down to just as good as it possibly could be.
He is doing unbelievable work on these Super V Lights. I mean,
Well, he's set the bar. I mean, when we thought that the bar was set, he's moved it up,
notches.
I want to say 10 to 20%.
It's crazy. The work he just did on the Myrtle Beach
Right.
boat, that cage he put in that boat. If you guys haven't seen Steve Papp's work, go ahead over to the Done Deal pages on Facebook and Instagram and just take a look. It is
Stuff
unbelievable.
that's never been done. We've never had roll cages in our boats before. He's building roll cages inside the boat, molly, tubing and everything else, welding it all together. He's taking the hatches off, the motor hatches, carbon fiber.
All carbon fiber fabrication.
He's moving that CG in the boat down to the bottom. He literally, at our steering helms weigh about, I want to say 8 pounds. He's going as far as taking his steering helm, dropping it down to the bottom of the boat, and putting a bar between it with swivels on it, just to move a few more pounds down south. And I mean, nobody's gone to this extreme. And his driver Canade's been with him for several years. He's like Helen Keller. I call him Helen Keller. I mean, you can't get a word out of the guy. You practically have to do hand signals with him.
It must be hard to race against them.
Well, there's no communication.
You-
It's got to be hand signals.
You never know if he's mad or happy.
No, he'll say absolutely not. Every team's got their person. I mean, you got the old mama guys. You got Waltman. He's the clown of the team. He's always out there laughing, having a good old time with everybody else. Waltman's the kind of person. So last year we were at the after the race we were at Lake Apacon. Walton was drinking those women's drinks, really the White Claw stuff.
Oh, yes.
So he's drinking his White Claws. With
Be careful calling them women's drinks now. There's a lot of man buns out there drinking White Claws. You might get mobbed.
White Claw is a little umbrella. He had like 2 of them, and all of a sudden he got his White Claw balls on him. He puts his helmet on, and he's around the fire pit. He starts snorting like a bull, and he pile drives his head into the side of our rented RV. It's like, dude, what are you doing? And then we're leg wrestling, and he won't stop slapping people in the balls. It's like, come on, dude. What's going on? So every team's got theirs. Well, The Tugget team, you got Scott Glockner. Now, he's another character into himself that he was the first recipient of the Jimmy Welch Trophy because he's another guy who goes out and helps everybody. How can you not like Scott Glockner?
No.
The guy's he's an animal of fun.
And he's a moving party.
Oh, absolutely.
Wherever he goes is where the party goes.
He's factory trained.
And his partner in crime there, Kevin Smith. I mean, the whole crew. I mean, I believe that what's the LSB and Tugget combination is the Hurricane of Awesomeness, right?
Hurricane of Awesomeness.
And you couldn't have named it any better. It is a hurricane of awesomeness and fireball.
The fact that Fireball hasn't sponsored them is amazing.
It's a shame, actually. It's a goddamn shame. That or Bud Light.
Yeah,
One of the two.
Goes to the race, they bring more beer than they bring oil. They're way down with coolers, beer, music, the Broncos. I mean, they bring it all. So talk about a great bunch of guys.
They're amazing, and there's so many of them. There's just so many of them over the years as well. I mean, like I miss the Pirate team
Father and son.
desperately. I miss Dave Denham.
Yeah.
I'd give anything to have a beer with him right now.
I just called him a couple weeks ago, checking in on him, said, tell him I missed him and everything else. We had a nice conversation. He misses being around everybody else too. Just another person, salt of the earth, just good person.
Amazing guy. The class has evolved, and I wanted to talk to you a bit about this. There's an evolution, some are saying, to Stock V, which is the V Extreme class, which is the carbureted version of our boats. And I wanted to touch on that because not many people understand the difference between the two. They see us out there and oftentimes at the same time, which is a bit confusing when you have the 525 boats running with the carbureted boats. So I just wanted to touch on that they are two separate classes. They're running 510s, carbureted 510s.
I don't know the rules exactly, but yes, they run a carbureted version. We all run Mercury versions with computer and fuel injection. Our boats have the exact same rules as far as length, weight. It's the biggest travesty, in my opinion, that we've got going right now in racing, that we've got the exact same boats, exact same hulls, and there's two different motors. You can pick, you want the carbureted one or you want the... We tried to have a conversation last year at the Worlds to see if we could try to work something out so that we could all get on the same page, and unfortunately it didn't work out. I don't want to say I would give up on it, but it's a shame. And I'm not sure why we can't actually pull it together, because everybody says they want to pull it together, but we can't sit at the table and somehow get it. It's like political Republican and Democrat.
I think it'll come together. It's inevitable. The truth of the matter is the 525s that we run are getting old.
Correct.
And we're having to have workarounds with rebuilds and very soon it's going to be an outdated power plant. And I think that the carbureted guys want to get with the times. I think they want to put the fuel injection in and they want to get on a foolproof system.
Well, that was the option last year at the World is, let's make it a little painful for everybody. The offer was to go with the new Mercury 565 motor. We give up on our 525s and have to buy the new Mercury package, and they'd have to give up on the carburetors. So we all would have to buy new motors. Mercury was going to give us a discount, but I've heard some people don't like Mercury. Everyone's got their own issues and what they like, what they don't like. But for the growth of the racing, a bunch of the guys were willing to sacrifice and spend the money to get everyone together.
Well, and that's going to be, I think, what it takes is the sacrifice from both sides, and I understand that. Now being in the class, I get it. I mean, I just built a brand new 525 for my boat, and the thought of having to sell that to buy another brand new, I paid over $10,000 for a blown up 525. That's how hard it is to get your hands on them.
It's another $10,000 to rebuild it. So a bunch of guys in our class, because our rules have changed a little bit, so a bunch of guys went out and rebuilt their motors. The 525, my motor is 5 years, it's either 5 or 6 years old. Raced every year, never touched. Spark plugs, a set of valve springs after 3 years. It's hard to give that up.
Yeah.
And say, let's change to something else. I mean, can you imagine racing a motor with no problems, no issues, 6 years?
Yeah,
I
and
do a lot of racing.
it's unheard of. It's not, you. I don't think you could go to an engine builder today and say, "I need you to build me a motor," and I'm not going to touch it for 3 years. It's not possible, man. It's Mercury did a beautiful job designing that 525. That is, and I haven't had any experience with the 565 or the 520 or the 540 but I'm sure they're equally as amazing. And I think that day's coming. You'll see those two classes come together. It has to. I mean, there's 10 of them. There's 10 of us. I mean, let's put them together and.
20 of us out there. At the
Come
same
on,
time.
man. Come
That's what I'm
on.
talking about.
Come on, Randy. I'm not.
on,
Keep telling them,
baby.
man. Talk to them. I want it, man. I'm not painting mine. I might screw tires to the side of it.
I think you'd have to. I mean, everything's about turn one going around there. Whether you got 20 boats or 10 boats, you know what? We'll all get around the damn turn.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll video game it. We'll ramp off each other and bounce off each other. We'll get through there.
Yeah. There's different ways of doing it, but it would be just so much fun. I mean, I think it's fun racing with 7 boats. I've raced now with 10 or 11 boats. It's even better. 20 would be off the charts.
It's amazing.
And at Factory One, I raced the Worlds. There was 21 factory boats.
Right.
At the Worlds. We all made it around the first turn.
Right.
There's no lane choice. It was a mill circle. Come out of the mill circle, find a little spot, get in there, put your nose
Get going.
in, and
Yeah.
get going. Don't fall back.
How is that? That has to be pretty comparable to what we do now, just minus the canopy.
Correct. Yeah, Factory One was the shit. I mean, that was, if you wanted to go racing cost-wise, fun-wise, it was just so competitive. I mean, everyone was within a 2 miles an hour of each other at best. So, you won the race because you won the race.
Right.
You didn't do something magical, you didn't have a better motor, you were the same as everybody else, you just made less mistakes.
You were the best guy on that day.
That's why you won.
And the other beautiful part about that class, and it's always intrigued me, is that they were truly production hulls.
Mm-hmm.
There was, people look back in hindsight and say, well, this hull was this and this hull was that. But at the time, they were production hulls. I mean,
You had to have a homologation rule where I believe it was 5 hulls. So you had to sell 5 hulls to the public, and that was the hull, then you were allowed to go race with that hull. And you were not allowed to modify it. Here we are years later taking the same hull, trying to modify it ourselves to get a little bit more out of it, and you don't get any more out of it.
right.
So it really didn't matter at the time even if you did try to modify the hull, there probably wasn't too much left. You maxed out the efficiency of that boat. And that's why our class right now, with our 525s in them, they're pretty much maxed out. 10 years ago, my boat was doing 92 miles an hour. Here we are 10 years later. I've changed the bottom of my boat 10 times. I've changed different expansions.
10 different propellers.
Just moved the weight around, different drivers. Guess how fast I'm going?
92 miles an hour.
92 miles an hour. So, I don't know what else other than some magical propeller these days are going to change it. And that's why I'm a firm believer in keeping the rules exactly the same. When people come in with new boats and say, hey, listen, we want to run a 32-foot boat in the class or whatever, God forbid that 32-foot boat beats you.
Yeah.
Then everyone who's got a 20-year-old boat now has got a pile of trash if they want to go win.
Well, and the crazy thing about our class in particular is I think it's one of the few classes where you can say if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Correct.
Our set of rules is pretty cut and dry. There's not many ways to find a gray area. I mean, they're there, but they've been there for 20 years. It's not news to anybody,
No.
and it really is just a great competitive class. I mean, that's why we bit the bullet. We've been doing this a long time. Things don't necessarily excite us anymore the way they used to, and that Super V Light, man, it tickles me. It does. I watch those old races, and I want to be in there so bad. I honestly cannot wait for this season to start. It's going to be mayhem. And you're 100% right. You asked me before, who am I picking the front runner in that class? And I always go with the same logic. I look at seat time. And I know how important that is from running a fountain, over the last couple of years, and how twitchy those hulls are, and how you really got to have time in the boat and be comfortable and confident in what you're doing in that boat. And I'm by no means picking myself for the front runner. I agree with you, Lily. Lily with Lily Sport Boats has a handle on that boat. He can drive, and he's in there with a guy in Kevin Smith. He's in there with Kevin
Kevin's
Smith.
got no fear.
We should just rename him Fearless. I mean, that guy, think about what they've done with their 42, with their fountain.
That blows me away.
I mean, and not because he's my brother, but you're in there with somebody who probably has the most seat time in a fountain at this point with my brother. And they're running door to door. I mean, window to window, mirror to mirror, deck to deck for laps and laps. No mistakes. They're on them.
Nobody expected that.
I didn't expect it.
I didn't either.
I definitely did not expect that. And as much confidence as I have in Britt, I now have in Kevin. I mean, Kevin can really throttle, and I'm excited. That's the biggest thing about this class to me is the test. The test. There's some
They're the
hardened
team that
guys.
I probably want to beat the most.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the ones that got the target on their back. You know, they always seem to have good product. They don't break often. They got a great crew. Their crew's there.
And it's always done the right way.
Correct.
It's always done the right way. That's something I respect. I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen the dirty guys come and go, you know.
Yeah.
And Britt's not that guy. Britt's not the dirty guy. He's not the guy that's winning because he's chopping you into the turn, or he's leaving you what he would expect you to leave him.
Work.
Right.
He's done the most work. And yeah, when he goes to the inside of me, you know he's going to the inside of you.
Right.
I can tell you when he's going to go to the inside of me before he goes to the inside of me. I don't care if I tell Tommy to protect the pin, go to the pin, go to the pin. They squeeze between you and the pin, and it's like there's no way they're going to fit through there. And I was like, boom. They get out of it, and they just dart through there.
And he makes it stick.
He makes it stick.
Makes it stick, man. It's a
Yeah,
crazy game.
What they say, you got to find the edge.
Yeah.
They've already found that edge a bunch of times.
A lot of times.
They spun out a fair amount or whatever, but they know where they need to be, and somehow they get in and out of those turns just a little faster than everybody else. If you listen to the videos or whatever, their RPMs are still up there with everybody else. You can hear everybody else getting out of it. I don't know, they just close their eyes and keep to the wood, or
Wherever that edge is, okay.
don't care.
Britt and Kevin, they cantilever to dock, and they're sitting out there with a cooler drinking Bud Light and Fireball. That edge is behind them, and they've been out there for years. It's it's amazing. And again, I give them incredible praise in what they've done with that fountain. That is not cut down like Instigator. That is still tall and big. And they hang it out there on the ragged edge of disaster time and time again. It's amazing to watch, man. It is. And another one that I wanted to touch on was Waltman. You brought up Waltman earlier as a bit of a
I like to
goofball.
call him Teabag.
Teabag?
I don't know where he got that name from, but it kind of stuck, and he likes to be called Teabag, so you see him in the pits. Say, hey, Teabag.
I thought it was numbnuts or Dora.
Well, Kyle's numbnuts.
But he had the beautiful opportunity last year in Cocoa Beach to get in and drive with a legend in Travis Pastrana. As much of a knucklehead as Waltman is, I mean, Waltman's one that has been around for a long time and been at the top of the heap for a long time. And he got to run with Pastrana, who, thankfully is coming back for another season with us in the Miss Geico in Class 1. Unfortunately, Corona times, the guys from overseas aren't going to be able to make it this year, and he's going to have some easy sledding. But it'll still be fantastic to see what he can do with that victory.
Well, that's a perfect example. I mean, Travis is probably one of the world's premier wild, crazy, do whatever you got to do, no fear type thing.
The man jumped out of an airplane without a parachute.
Yeah, there's something wrong with that.
There's something wrong with him, man.
Fits right in. Love the guy.
Oh, man.
You can take somebody like that who's never raced in a race boat before. I don't know, to expect a ton, it would blow me away that you could, but yet they did a really good job in the guy's first race out.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, we saw Jason Priestley down at the Worlds in Key West, and we're slamming to the side of a boat. There's somebody who races $1 million race cars that you would think could have a little more handle on what's going on. So you just can't throw anybody in.
There's a big difference in driving a race boat. There's, and even if you do a bit of boat racing, I mean, whether it be tunnel boats or hydros, or, I mean, the list is endless. I mean, they race anything you can bolt a motor to in the water, they race it. But there's just something different about offshore. Offshore has an element. It doesn't have like the speed of the hydros but there's that element of
It's the inconsistency. It's the constant water change, the constant, every lap it's different. There's no, say, you know, in a car you might say, listen, I know how to go through this chicane, and I know how to pick up speed, and that chicane's gonna be the same the next lap I go through. There's none of that in boat racing.
No, and there's the, you hear it so often, the hole on the front stretch, the hole on the back stretch, the one that's just there and you're never gonna see it. It's just there, you know.
That's the other thing people ask me all the time about. You guys keep talking about these holes, or what the hell's a hole? You're in the water. What do you mean? And it's like, well, it's kind of like when a wave goes up, it's kind of suck the water from somewhere. So it's not going to be the same level. So when you go off of that wave, where you thought the levelness was, it's not there.
Well, in a lot of times, it is an actual hole.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's another thing that, like in Point Pleasant, I know right where that hole is. I'm sure you do. You've been there enough times. I know right near Jenkinson's where that hole is. It's and it is an actual hole. It is actually a deep spot in the ocean floor, and where the waves do tend to pick up in the deeper spot. And you can predict that, but it's different when it's happening in real time. And I'm super intrigued, and I wish, because I last year I fell in love with the 222 team.
Oh yeah.
I am so happy to have gotten to watch the 2019 season. And
Aussies or
Aussies, yeah, and I've never seen the reckless finesse. That's what I call them, by the way, is reckless finesse. I watched in Michigan City.
controlled mayhem.
Absolutely, and focused, man. I watched them in Michigan City go underneath Victory into the first turn. First straightaway, nobody lifted. Victory had the line coming from the outside to the inside, and 222 stuck. I'm sorry, 222. They don't like being. I think they don't like the 222 name. It's the 222.
What's that, a bra size?
But I watched them guys put that boat in there, something serious. And in Fort Myers, Victory brought over their second boat to, you know, try to ensure that national championship. And I was so proud of the way they ran that boat. So I'm seriously like bummed at I'm not going to get to see Travis Pastrana, X Games champion, you know, motocross champion. I mean, anything the guy gets in and drives, he's a fucking champion.
You gotta follow it.
I want to see him go out there and do battle with these guys in the worst way. And hopefully, if we have any luck, he'll get through this year, fall in love with the sport, and stick around for a little bit.
Buy a boat.
Maybe buy a boat.
Is that Red Bull he's with, or who's?
I believe, yeah, he's with Red Bull. The Wiener sponsor, what's it? Is it Oscar Mayer Wiener? Something like that. They had it on the front of the boat. He had that.
You're cock blocking me. The what?
Randy has a complex, in case you guys didn't know.
A little one. complex, I mean. You don't get that wrong.
But
You're leading the witness.
I think that we could definitely pull that off. And we were talking earlier about the family aspect of the sport, and that was one of the things that I heard from the Pastrana camp was that he thoroughly enjoyed the low-key, you know, camaraderie, family aspect of what we do. It's not cutthroat. It's not. I mean, it is when the green flag goes up, but it stops when the checkered flag comes out. You know, and I think that suits a guy like him. You know, there's a guy who is probably one of the more talented guys of the generation. And I couldn't imagine what he goes through just trying to go ride his dirt bike. You know, so to be able to walk into Offshore and just be one of the guys, we're not trying to, you know, we're not milking you for autographs or can I get a clutch lever? Can I get, you know, we're not breaking your balls, man. Just come run, you know. And
Socks.
yeah. I mean, it's insane. And I couldn't imagine what that's like for him. And he's got to be enjoying what Offshore is all about.
I guess that's the other nice thing about Offshore. It's probably not a nice thing, but the reason it makes it so environment friendly for most of us, because most of us don't have any sponsors.
Right.
So we have nobody that we have to impress.
Right.
So when we show up, you know, it's me throwing my $100 bills down on the table, and, you know, I'm spending the money, I'm going races, and I'm gonna do it my way.
Right.
Now, if you have the Geico or the sponsor, well, it's a different program, because now I'm getting paid to be there. You know, I can't be a goofball then, I can't go out and have a couple cocktails with everybody, you gotta sit up straight and button your shirt. And for me personally, if you're gonna sponsor my team, it better be enough to make it worth me not having a good time.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
You're paying me a lot.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I've been turning down sponsors, like they've been beating down the door.
Wow. I have to have one.
Yeah, I'll take anything I can get, but
It's beer drinking, I'm just guessing.
but no, I agree. That is a huge part of offshore. Is it's a judge-free zone. It really is. From the time you get there until you leave, it's a judge-free zone. Just come hang out and have a good time.
Boys having a good time and spending our money how we'd like to spend it.
That's it,
Being
man.
around the same people, the same like-mindedness, and having good times.
Yeah, man.
Another topic that no one has brought up yet is, I think that girls are gonna be involved in this sport a lot more if you look 5 years ahead.
You mean dating them?
No, racing. We got Happy, right? Happy's daughter, she's racing.
Oh, yes.
I was running with Randy's daughter the other day. She was in the Donzie, and she's ripping across the bay, and I'm like, yeah, you're ready.
Yeah.
He has to talk to his wife about that, of course.
Yeah.
He doesn't
I'd love
wear
to have my
pants
daughter
like that.
Lauren jump in the boat with me.
Do I have to edit that part out, or did we tell Mama yet?
Mama knows I'm begging. So it's up to her. We'll see it, but I'd love to have her go out in the boat. But yeah, Steve's daughter, Allison, she's got a Class 7 boat. She's planning on coming out. God, it's not about winning every race. It's about going out and having fun.
I think they will win. I think that a woman's mindset is different from a man's. That win at all costs thing in 25. I think,
I'm 58. No, there's a big difference.
so you've got it then. I mean, you've understood, and not to even make even a joke about it. I mean, there has been some very serious women in offshore racing. Betty, Betty was amazing.
She's
And
probably the leader. I don't know if you remember, but there was a team called the Twisted Chicks.
absolutely.
Yeah, those two women were as good as any male team that were out there.
No doubt.
Yeah, be good looking.
No doubt. My mom and her sister Tony actually were gonna race a boat called the Twisted Sisters.
Yeah.
It kind of
That would've been good.
emulating. I mean, because they cast a shadow. Lisa Matthews.
Absolutely.
Lisa Matthews was around. Lindsay Denoyer ran the Killer Bee boat. There's been, and I'm sure I'm forgetting, Doc Jansen's daughter.
I'm not sure if she ever raced, but she.
I'm pretty sure she was in with.
She's been in the boats.
She was in with Forehand, I believe, a few
You're right,
times
you're
when they were
correct.
racing.
You're correct. I think Key West.
I'm trying to recall. I'm bad with names. Madison, something like. But there's been. I mean, there has been, and there will be women in this sport, and
No question about it.
and there's a place for them here. I mean, it's a competition. We're not going to treat you any different, and there's been a lot of winning women in this sport. So
And they probably, if you're women out there, you probably have a much better shot of getting a sponsor.
yeah, no doubt.
I think a company would get behind a women's team that actually came out and did pretty good and raced with the boys.
Absolutely.
We're there, and I can see sponsors stepping all over.
I think we're in a perfect time for it.
Scott, do you like lipstick? Would you like to?
I think like Cheryl Muldowney, something with the attention.
We'll put a wig on you.
How's that hair doing? Can I borrow some hair for
We'll get a
you?
chick lick for that front tooth.
Chicks are digging it.
That's the Sally the seashells at the seashore. Come on, Scooter.
Fuck you. Things like that don't bother me.
Obviously.
You got it. Well, if you're around boat racing, you've got tough skin, thick skin.
That's the other thing. The jokes and the stuff that we keep doing to each other and playing the pranks. Oh, it never ends.
It's amazing.
Who's throwing something inside somebody's cockpit? Who's doing something funny?
Was it Glockner that had your checkered flag on a fishing pole on top of the RV?
Yeah. He's hanging over my chairs. I'm sitting down below. And he's got the fishing pole and he's waving my checkered flag over in front of me. I'm trying to grab it. He's pulling it up. Just good stuff like that. We tease each other so bad. Keep trying to come up with the next best, the next better one. I got some ammo for next year for those guys. I got some good
You got some good stuff in it?
Oh,
Something up your sleeve?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to bring it.
Good. Well, we do have, just to, touch on that. I know everybody's up on the Corona stuff and all that, but we do have a good schedule still slated for the 2020 season. I know from last year, the Big Six took over. the 6-race series we put together last year. But we still have phenomenal events. Jeff McCann, if you remember him, he ran Scream Machine back in the day, or more famously known as the crazy motherfucker that threw himself out of that Donzi at the Lake of the Ozarks speed run. He's putting together a race in Morehead City, and I am beyond excited for that. It's in his backyard, and it's his baby, and I can't wait to go there. We have Point Pleasant on the schedule in the summertime for the first time in a long time, which is, I mean, beyond exciting. That's the Jersey Shore in the summertime. There's nothing like it. And that ocean, there's nothing like that ocean. There's just nothing quite like it, you know. So we do have a great season. It does.
Let me just real quick give you a Jeff McCann story. So I've probably known Jeff McCann.
Hey, 1 second, Randy.
Yep.
Check on the front of your microphone. Is that red? Is that light red?
No, mine's flashing.
Click on it.
Yep, not solid.
Now I got you. Shit. I can fix that. Don't worry about it. Keep rolling.
All right, so Jeff McCann. Let me give you a Jeff McCann story. So Reggie Fountain has a race down at his place. God, I don't know, it was 10 years ago or whatever. And Jeff's got the same Donzi that he had crashed out at Lotto in, and he shows up. He pulls into the parking lot, you know, with pulling this thing behind his boat. Doesn't know a single person. He just pulls in, parks by himself. I walked over there, I introduced myself, and said, you know, pull your truck and stuff over here next to my camp. You know, I don't recognize you or whatever. I want you to hang with us and, you know, just be part of the team. I'll help you along here. So we keep talking, and it's like, so what do you have over there? He goes, I got a Donzi. I got this monster motor in the thing, and it'll do like, 90 miles an hour. I said, all right, when you go to register, don't tell anybody it goes 90, because they're going to put you in a class that's a 90 mile an hour class. He goes, yeah, but the boat goes 90. Meanwhile, he's got a plastic milk crate as a seat screwed to the floor in the thing.
Typical Jeff.
Yeah, he's got some other guy named John Goody or whatever that's never raced before either. So neither of these guys ever raced before. He goes to registration. He tells him he's got a 90 mile an hour boat. They put him in like class 2, and he's got a 22-foot boat. He goes out there, and the first lap he goes around or whatever, and realizes that I should be like in class 5, like 70 mile an hour class. And he was, I think his chair broke out of his boat or whatever. He came back. We became great friends ever since then. And, his brother was involved. His dad does tennis courts or whatever. McCann's a great human being.
And his brother's John, correct? John McCann?
I believe so.
Their whole camp is phenomenal.
Does he still own the bar down?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he's
him and his wife. Yeah.
They're putting it back together. I guess he was doing either some renovation or maybe some damage from Sandy back when. But
he's always got something going on.
Always, he's a madman. Yeah. But it is beautiful, and the race course and the race site that he's putting together down there it's going to be top notch. I mean, that's gonna. I really hope that the guys drum up some support for him in a first time.
Oh, I'm definitely going. You can count on Typhoon. Our team will definitely be there.
Absolutely. We may even bring a couple was-ups. But
do you think it's going to be the same course in the area when they had P1 and stuff that was down there? I raced back then.
I believe so. Yeah. I believe it's the same. The only thing that's changing is some of the locations as far as, pits and stuff like that. But it's going to be a great race. You got that. You got Point. Coco's on the schedule. Coco's a beautiful race. Love it. That's the P1 event in the schedule there, as well as Fort Myers. That's a Fort Myers there is a P1 event. And we have a good schedule still slated that winds up in Inglewood, which happens to be my favorite race site of all time. Yeah. Inglewood's got my heart, man. That is the coolest little town. So as long as we hang on to what we got a great season, and we have the best teams in offshore. We really do. I mean, our guys are phenomenal, and we'll get through this COVID stuff, man. It's just been.
We'll get it done.
What a haymaker! But
because the schedule's so short. I mean, I'm even tempted to do Key West, but I'm not sure if is that something you would get audit out or edit out? Or, I'm not sure with OPA what you guys are.
Oh, it's staying now.
I mean, we got November. I could do 3 races there and then add up and do the other one. So I'm not positive what I want to do, depending on how many races we're going to do for the whole year, where I end up and what I do.
Right. Well, that's the other thing, too. I mean, a lot of people are sitting back on the computer right now wondering what everybody else is doing. But you know as well as I do, you don't know. It's a race by race basis. You know, it's how many catastrophes you had during the season, who blew a drive, who blew a motor, who knows.
The one thing that drives me completely nuts is we all talk about, are you going to show up to the race? You're not going to show up to the race. You're trying to figure out who's going, who's not going. And I don't get the mentality when people say, I don't know, or I'm not going, and they want to surprise you and they want to show up. Right. It's like, nobody gives a shit.
I'm just happy you're here, man. Why'd you lie to me?
Yeah, so we're trying to build this thing up and say, listen, we got 7 boats, we got 9 boats. You know what? And by you saying, no, I'm not going to show up, and then show up, I mean, we could have been promoting the whole thing that we've got 9 boats that are going to be here instead. We got 7. And 2 guys show up, we're here.
Right.
It's like, stop with that. Come on.
Well, and it's a really good point. I know there's a lot that goes into that, you know, but it would be great to know who's coming. You know, 'cause it helps us majorly. You know, from a sponsorship standpoint, from organizing.
The organizers trying to put everything together, and they want to tell people, hey, we got X amount of boats showing up. If everybody showed up, maybe your class might get a little something extra. Maybe
Right.
you'd say, hey, there might be a little extra bonus. Hey, listen, if we can get 12 of these boats in this class, maybe there's a little bonus for that.
Right.
But if you don't commit and do what you say you're going to do.
Right. And I do believe in a structured prize purse that's based on the boats that are in the class, that are, I never understood why a guy that goes out and runs by himself gets the same check as a guy who beat 15 other boats.
It's not right.
I don't understand that. That does have to eventually change, but it all boils down to sponsors and all that. I mean, it's the offshore is a big wheel, and it's hard for you to understand all the spokes. It's hard, but we're getting there, man.
Everything's been tried.
Everything.
It's just, some people don't know the history, so they don't know the mistakes. So there's a lot of it that, it's already been tried. People try this, try that. A lot of this has already been tried. I'm not saying maybe the times have changed and, we're missing something, but a lot of it's been tried. Your father's been around forever, since dirt. And, he's seen the pros, the cons, and, he has a good example for everybody. Sometimes you got to trust the leadership.
And I think what that boils down to as well is just a burning passion for the sport. I mean, if he wasn't racing, I don't know that he would do it. It's
Probably not.
He loves the competition. He loves actually doing it. All the other stuff is what he has to do to make sure he can still do it. That's what it's about, and that's what it takes. People don't. I've seen a lot of people walk into offshore thinking that this is going to be a business. I'm going to make money on this. I'm going to. And right away you start laughing. Good luck, man. If anybody sees this podcast and you can just shoot me a quick thing in the comments of one person that's ever made money in boat racing besides Bob Teague, I'll give you a slot on this show when we get it rolling.
You're not making money.
You're not making money, man. It's all about the love of the sport. Yeah. It's all about this. It's all about this right here. I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what we all work for, is to be able to hang that up on the wall and say, remember when?
Remember when I got you then.
There I was.
That's my famous opening line. There I was. Turn 1, day 2. Gotcha. Booyah.
Oh, man.
It's all good, Boomer.
But anyway, Randy, I think that's it, man.
I want to thank you for having us.
Thank you.
More importantly, I'd really like to thank you for the cold beer.
Hey, you're welcome. You're welcome. We got that on tap, man. I've got a whole bar here in the parking lot that's sitting closed. You've
done well. I like what you've done here with the podcast. I can see this is a great information type thing for other people and other teams, and I hope they enjoy it. What I really would like for people that, whether you're racing or not racing, to send you, I guess, text, emails, whatever needs to be done with questions.
Yeah.
What would be interesting? What do you want to hear? Or are we just babbling?
I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of what the podcast is it's not an informative tool. It is, but it's not meant to be. It's not. I think that people just want to see who you guys are. You know,
Dumb and Dumber.
that's it, man. That's it. You know, and I think that, you know, I always use you as an example of when we did that TV show in the 2010 to 12 range there. The show that I remember, the only one that I remember, is your credit card getting declined at the gas pump trying to put gas in a race boat. You know, like that's
Started off with the platinum, didn't work.
didn't work.
Dropped down to the gold.
Jimmy, get on the corner.
Carry this cardboard sign. We'll race for fuel.
It's just so cool to me that there's a platform like this, and I'm by no means the right guy for this job. Or
You are,
or
because you've been around and you know everybody.
But
That's perfect.
how do you not do something like this? How do you not want to hang out with offshore powerboat racers? I mean, it's just, it's the coolest bunch of dudes, and we do things that, and dudes and women, you know, and we do things that normal people could never understand.
No.
You know,
I say it all the time that there's when you go to these races or whatever, you're around 100, 200 people of the same like-mindedness, that once you leave that group and you go to your family picnic with your cousins and relatives and everybody else, they're like, he must be the dumbest motherfucker in the world. Why would he do that?
he spent $5,000 on a herring.
Yeah. Is he out of his mind? I can't believe his wife lets him do this.
But no. I appreciate it, but I want to thank you guys. I love what your team and what you are about. You know, and
Thank you.
And I know you're here for the long haul.
I'm here for the beer.
I've been through. You're here for the beer, but I know you're in for the long haul. I've been there for the last 20 of them. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm looking forward to hopefully a bunch more.
Thank you.
Know, so
I mean, it's tough to hang out for the long haul when, it's a brutal sport.
it is.
It's violent on your body. I mean, obviously, when you look at me, I know I look like a bodybuilder, but I'm not.
It's natural.
It's natural. My modeling career went out the window. This is all I have left in life. So I'm going to do the best I can with what I got while I have it.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Booyah!